You guys know what that means. You know what they call it my boomer music. At least my social media team calls it my boomer music because they think it's old school. I think it's retro, but I think it's retro in a good way, in the best way. So I'm so glad that you guys are joining us. Too many Don Lemons on the screen. I'm so glad that you guys are joining us today. As always, we appreciate it. Let me move myself over a little bit so that you don't see so many Don Lemons in the screen. Okay, so I'm glad that you guys are here to talk about really what is happening in the news. Okay, God, I have so much to discuss. There's so much that I want to discuss, and I'm not exactly sure. Where do I begin with all of this madness? Where to begin? Where do we begin with the madness and the craziness? That is the question. Because America, are we a democracy? Are we a democracy? I'm going to change cameras, Andy. Boom, there we go. Are we a democracy? What are we as it relates to what's happening in the country and in the world? Where are we as it relates to democracy? Where are we as it relates to media in this country? Where are we? Where are we right now? Are we really a democracy? Are we, and I don't know, you can call it an autocracy? Are we moving towards being an autocracy in the world right now? Is that what we're doing? That's what I would like to know. What are we doing here? Because I'm wondering as we talk about this is our hot topic show. A republic says mind your, let's see, over on TikTok, mind your tech and business. Says we're a republic. A77 says we're an oligarchy. That's what we're going to discuss this morning. Those are the things that we have been talking about. I'm trying to straighten this out because, again, you guys have to be really patient with me because I'm not in my studio. I'm not in my studio in Manhattan, and I'm not in my home studio because I'm visiting my sister in the hospital. I'm going to do something a little odd here that's going to probably freak some people out, but that's okay. So I'm going to switch this over, and then I'm going to flip it to make sure because I think it's weird having so many Dons in the background. Okay, well, that made it worse. That made it worse. I guess we'll just have to deal with it. So I'm really concerned about that, about what's going on, because there are our future, our media is in the hands of just a very few people right now. A very few people who have control over our media and a very big influence in our democracy and what gets heard, what gets platformed, what gets promoted, and on and on and on. A very few people. And I think that we all need to be at least worried or cognizant of that. So the tech bros, have the tech bros killed democracy, or are the tech bros killing democracy? You should do a Theo Von podcast, says Buck of age 4989. All right, smash the screen and we'll talk about that. We should do that. We'll see. Have Zuckerberg, Bezos, and others, a handful of billionaires, finally managed to end the American experiment? What am I talking about? It's hard to say for certain, but one thing that is very clear is that they are all in full accommodation mode right now. Are they complying in advance? Are they acquiescing? Is that what's happening as it relates to now? Is that what's going on? Each and every one, most of these billionaire tech bros brazenly courting the Trump administration and their allies is what's happening, lavishing them with praise, if not outright paying them off with apparent bribes. There are those who say this is how fascism manifests itself. When corporate overlords put their bottom lines over democratic norms and freedoms, that's how autocracies are born. That's what folks are saying. That's how autocracies are born. Should we start here? Should we start with what happened yesterday? Deb Fischer. Should we start here? Brady the Bingle. Apparently a lot of folks do, Brady. Hate to tell you. Sorry. Brady says no one wants to listen to your delusions. A lot of folks do. Hundreds of thousands of people. So sorry, Brady the Bingle. Love it. Good morning to Sophisticated 96. I do, says YL Skype. Sherry Disme says, I do. Someone says, Mike Hunt says, let's talk about Deb Fischer. So we're going to get to the tech bros. Let's get to the Deb Fischer of it all, okay? So Deb Fischer, let me just remind you of what happened yesterday as it relates to Deb Fischer. Deb Fischer is a senator, Nebraska, being sworn in to the 119th Congress. When after she was sworn in, there's a picture, and it's cordial, usually. The vice president offers to shake her husband's hand. This is what happened. Watch.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, sure. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So this came out yesterday. I don't think this was that actually happened. I think it happened just a couple days ago, right? But the video started coming out yesterday. What do you guys think of that? And then there was a picture of him saying, oh, well, he was holding a cane. And, you know, he didn't do it because he's holding a cane and he couldn't, you know, let go of the cane. That is bullshit. He had a free hand. He was actually holding the Bible for his wife. And so for all of you who are trying to, you know, yesterday make excuses for him, let's show. See, there he is. He's holding the Bible for his wife. He has a free hand. He wouldn't even look at the vice president. Let me play for you what happened 6 years ago when Mike Pence was swearing him in.
Hope you got.
I did.
Congratulations. Great. Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate it. That's just important.
the reaching of the hand, the looking at the president, the vice president, the acknowledging,
Can we do a photo with your immediate
Okay.
family and then
That would
we
even taking a photograph.
Yeah.
Do you want to go on the other side?
And look how
Vice President
he
Wood.
wants, look how close he is to the
Right.
vice president.
Thank you.
Now, they took a picture yesterday. He was not that close to the current vice
Thank
president.
you.
So what does that
We
say?
got some more folks here.
We have
This guy's a fucking racist, okay? He doesn't like the vice president. That's what it is. Let's stop pretending. We know what's up. I spoke to everyone I knew last night. They're like, we know what it is. My mom's like, we know. We already know. Let's not pretend that it's something else. Let's stop making excuses. And it's not just Mike Pence from 6 years ago. There's also Joe Biden from 12 years ago. Here's the evidence. Watch.
Of United States Senator Deb Fischer from Nebraska decided not to look at or shake the hand of Vice President Kamala Harris at Deb Fischer's swearing-in ceremony. And y'all are saying that this is rooted in racism and rooted in white supremacy. And I'm here to prove y'all wrong. Deb Fischer is going into her third term in Congress, and so we have some other swearing-in ceremonies to look at. 6 years ago, then Vice President Mike Pence sworn his wife, and clearly he does not look at Vice President Mike Pence. And clearly he does not even shake his hand. Let's go back to 2013. Then Vice President Joe Biden swears his wife in. And clearly he does not look at Joe Biden. And clearly he does not shake his hand. So this claim that this man not looking at Vice President Kamala Harris, not shaking her hand, is rooted in white supremacy, rooted in racism, is just wrong. At every swearing-in ceremony is not looked at and not shaken the hand of the vice president.
Clearly that was sarcasm, but it proves a point. The two white men who were there, both times, other times that she was sworn in, what was it? An acknowledgement and a handshake. An acknowledgement and a handshake. Cozy, hey man, whatever. But and a handshake. What is that? Is that racism? Is it misogyny? Is it both? I think it is. We know what it is. Here's Deb Fischer. Are you going to apologize for your husband? Are you going to acknowledge this? Or just going to let it go? Apparently, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you don't care. The folks in the chat, Everest Charles says he is a pure racist. Folks are weighing in. Let me know what you think. Show us. Saying TikTok, it's on my YT channel. You can see it on the screen, on the YT, on the tube. An immature old racist, says someone in the chat. Karen White says, that was a good clip. The guy was spot on. It's pure racism. We give it to you straight here. We know what this is. And we know what we're headed for the next 4 years. We know what it is in the next 4 years. So let's talk about what happens in the next 4 years. So listen, Deb Fischer, Senator, are you going to apologize? Folks who are in the chat, I'm not sure if she's on social media anywhere. Do you think she should apologize? Do you think folks should at least, she's a public servant. Let's call it what it is, says East Coast Transplant. Should folks be calling on her? Should her constituents be calling on her to apologize? Should her constituents and the American people be calling her office? Should be contacting her? Should be emailing her? Should be putting it on social media that she needs to apologize? She needs to address it on behalf of her husband. She is a sitting United States senator now. Unfortunately, that's how the poor ranchers in Midwestern, someone says here, that is how ranchers in the Western Nebraska behave. I'm in the blue dot section of Nebraska. Wow. I don't know if that's true, but that's what someone on TikTok says. They both need to apologize. Someone on TikTok. So you guys look, you tell me what you think. Reach out to her if you want. She's a public service. She's going to ignore it, says Valma Scarborough. Okay, now let's get to what we're saying about the tech bros. Now everyone is wondering about the tech bros. Let's discuss the tech bros and whether or not the tech bros are ending democracy. It's the tech bros versus the media and versus democracy. So here's what happened while you were sleeping. Okay. Mark Zuckerberg moved in with MAGA late Monday, appointing 3 white men, including UFC chief executive and Trump confidant Dana White, to the board of directors of Meta. Remember, he had visited Donald Trump and went to sit down with him. I believe it was at Mar-a-Lago. He had a meeting. We are a long way from 2022. That's when Peter Thiel was forced to resign from that same board in order to be able to support Trump-aligned candidates. Remember, you can't support candidates. Usually folks don't like to, especially if you're in the media. Let me just give you about 2 years ago. After Thiel's resignation 2 years ago, the Meta board was 44% female, 5 men and 4 women. Today, it is 23% female, 10 men and 3 women. In terms of corporate control, of course, only one vote matters, and that is the Class B shares, and that Zuckerberg will always have the final say here. Bug Nita says, how do I delete my Facebook account? I think you go in and you delete it. There are ways to move your information over to other platforms, by the way. That's your business. I'm not advocating you do that, but a lot of folks are wondering. And after I show you this next graph, I'm going to show you why a lot of folks are wondering about iPhones as well and Apple products. 7 of the 10 board members, Mark Andreessen, John Arnold, John Elkin, Drew Houston, Hock Tan, Tony Zhu, and Zuckerberg himself, they're all billionaires. And there's more. On Tuesday morning, Zuckerberg announced a number of sweeping changes that will significantly alter the way that posts, videos, and other content are moderated online on his platform. Meta is going to adjust his content review on policies on Facebook and Instagram, getting rid of fact checkers and replacing them with user-generated community notes similar to Twitter. The moderation changes, it marks a stunning reversal in how Meta handles false and misleading claims on its platform. Here is Mark Zuckerberg explaining.
Recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without...
He says they're going to get rid of fact checkers. They're getting rid of fact checkers. And he mentions Donald Trump. That means that Donald Trump has influence. He has influenced what Mark Zuckerberg wants to do, what he plans to do now, with a platform that I'm sure you're on. Either Facebook or Instagram. Are you on those platforms? And what do you think about that? Back it up a little bit, Andy, because this is what he said. Reese Nunn says he kissed the ring, shaking my head. Let's go.
Elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action.
Okay, pause. So they're going to rely on someone reporting the issue before they take action for low. Now, look, I just want you guys to know, the folks who own these platforms, who are in charge of these platforms, they have control over the algorithm. They can program the algorithm to do whatever it is, whatever they want. So who gets to say what low visibility and high visibility is? They do. It was just a matter of time before Zuckerberg moves to MAGA, so I'm not entirely surprised. He just took his time, says Sonia in the chat. Back up, there were a couple more I wanted to read, Andy. There were a couple more that were up. So all of them want to spread lies now. This is very sad, very scary, says Vanika. Get rid of the fact checkers, says East Coast Transplant. What kind of insane-ish is that? Sane-ish is that? Angel says he's riding the wave. What do you guys think? Mark Zuckerberg. I am forced to use Facebook for work. It's their main communication tool for some reason, says the political hitman. At your job? Facebook? Do we have any Facebook comments? Anybody on there? He's getting rid of the fact checkers and he's going to rely on community notes. Here's the issue. If someone gets something wrong, is that going to show up in the community notes? Is it going to get as much amplification as the misinformation that shows up? Are people going to rely on that as facts rather than just, hey, maybe it's okay, maybe it's true, maybe it's not? I think the baseline should be whether it's true or not, whether it is a fact. So basically, people can be harassed, as Z247. Let's go on.
The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms.
Okay, pause. By
Also-
dialing them back, we're going to reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. What about the reduce the amount of misinformation and lies and slander and libelous information on the platform? Meta is a multi-billion-dollar operation. Clearly, they can hire enough humans to be able to check this information. Facts are politically biased, says T Signs. GTFOH. Mad. They're mad. Clearly, they can hire enough people so that to correct this error without minimizing or suppressing the things that they want suppressed. Why not use AI to fact check, says D. Talley. I think they do. That's what he's saying. He thinks that it's too sensitive. Anyone can say anything in community notes. That is true. Let's go on.
We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content.
Okay, pause.
The
We're
reality
going
is-
to tune our content filters to require much more confidence before they take down certain things. So, what is it when they say we're going to tune? That means that they have control of the algorithm in the system. Camille Radina in the chat says these men are a bunch of cowards. Sarah Habib says, in Canada, it's against the law to display news items on platforms like Facebook. Let's continue.
To tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we
Pause.
accidentally.
Okay, so it's going to reduce bad stuff, but then it's going to help out innocent people whose accounts or information were taken down. Is that what social media is really about? Protecting people whose accounts, your account was taken down? Is that how problematic is that? What happens if you put information that's wrong about someone and it gets spread over and over? How do you pull that back? Which one is more important? They get to prioritize which one is more important. What they're saying is someone's feelings. When they say facts don't care about your feelings, they're saying the feelings matter most. To the facts don't care about your feelings crowd. That's what they're saying. Where's the lie? Keep going.
take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts.
Pause. Okay. So people wanted to see less politics because they're making people stressed. So they suppressed, they're telling you, they have control of the algorithm. They suppressed news information. Do you hear me? Because of folks' feelings, not because of the facts, not because they needed to be informed. They suppressed. Remember, these are the facts. Don't care about your feelings, crowd. Here we go.
But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression.
They're moving out of California to Texas. They're moving out of a blue state to a red state. They're moving out of a state where I think that X is moving there to Texas, away from California. Because they believe California, if you listen to it, back it up to the beginning of just this part, Andy. I think they think that California may be biased, why California is a blue state. Watch.
Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push
Less
back on
concern
governments around-
about the bias of our teams in Texas. Back up to, and I want you to hear what he says about Trump. Let's go.
bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over
He's
the
telling on himself right here. It's not maybe he just doesn't care. And here's the thing that I've been telling you guys about, and Mark Zuckerberg is smart enough to know this. I think he knows. I think he's just telling you what he was. He wants to work with the Trump administration because he wants his apps to be in all of these places that he's concerned about, and he wants it to be bigger, obviously more money, in places where the apps are already. He's telling you what he wants. Okay? And I can read the definition of freedom of speech. It has nothing to do with these platforms. If you have a terms of service, you have to conduct yourself as such, whatever those terms of services are. It's the same thing as if you walk into a business. Same thing if you walk into someone's home. You have to conduct yourself. When they say no shirt, no shoes, no service, same thing. They can say no bigotry, no racism, no homophobia, no anti-Semitism, no Islamophobia, no hate, no lies. They can say no lies. They can say that your information has to be factual and true before you post it. Or you're subject to terms of services and also subject to the libel and slander laws of the country. This has nothing to do with freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is for the government. And our government is not trying to hinder anyone's freedom of speech. Our government is not creating laws that hinders freedom of expression or speech. This is all a red herring. Keep going.
past 4 years, when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free
creating laws.
expression, and I am excited to take it.
So there you go. There you go. Dude is such a joke, says Courtney with a K. This is what the tech bros have been doing. The reason we're saying tech bros, are they killing media and democracy? These are the donations to the Trump administration. In 2021, when Biden was elected, Meta, according to Keith Edwards, this is from Blue Sky, gave $0 to Biden's inaugural fund, according to Keith Edwards. Tim Cook gave $0. Meta, Mark Zuckerberg. Tim Cook, Apple. A lot of you are on the phones right now, probably on the computer. You're on iOS. Tim Cook, 0, 2021. Sam Altman. Sam has a huge AI company, 0. Google gave $200,000. Google's a multi-billion-dollar operation. Amazon, same thing, multi-billion-dollar operation, gave $200,000 to Joe Biden's inaugural fund. Now, let's remember that was during COVID as well. That list is sad. Donations to Trump's inaugural fund in 2025. Meta, as has been reported, Mark Zuckerberg donated $1 million Tim Cook of Apple, $1 million. Sam Altman, AI, $1 million. Google, $1 million. Google, which by the way owns YouTube, $1 million. Amazon, Jeff Bezos, $1 million. What say you? Does that say anything to you? Does that tell you anything? Does that tell you what the intentions are? This is what Tim Miller says about Meta and the Facebook policies. Tim Miller says, I'm fine with this policy. Facebook is essentially a senior citizen message board and is not a big deal with the fact check. But going on Fox to make absurd arguments that Trump likes free expression reveals this to be not about the First Amendment principles, but kissing the autocrat's ring. Brian Stelter is reporting, there's a real opportunity here with President Trump coming into office with his commitment to expression for us to get back to those values. Meta policy chief Joel Kaplan says on Fox and Friends, rolling this out on Fox is obviously a notable choice. It's in your face, guys. It is in your face. What do? People feel that they have to be on these social media sites. They become addicted to them. What do? People have to be on iPhones. They have to use Apple. What do? Do you have to? I don't know. Rolling it out on Fox. Moving to Texas. Meeting with Trump at Mar-a-Lago or wherever. You know who's joining Meta's board? Dana White. Do you guys know who Dana White is? Dana White heads the UFC. Dana White is a Donald Trump protege. Zuckerberg has named him to the board. Critics are really upset online because of this. Now, look, you can, whatever, because of this. This is him, and I believe it's his girlfriend, and his wife at a New Year's Eve party. I think it was in 2021. They're calling him an abuser. Let's watch it.
New Year's Eve 2023 in Mexico, UFC President
2023.
Dana White and his wife Anne brought it all in, but the celebration became physical. The video, obtained and published by TMZ, shows White grabbing his wife's wrist as she tries to walk away and Anne slapping him. Then White open hand slaps his significant other not just once, but twice. It all went down in Cabo San Lucas in the VIP area of El Squid Row. Onlookers separated the pair. Now, in the midst of White committing an act of domestic violence, he made a mention of something to this very day remains the oldest trick in the book. White, 53, would indicate there was definitely a lot of alcohol involved, but that's no excuse. Here's a quick question. Why state it then? The question now turns to the old adage, if they do it in public, what happens in private? White would say, it's never happened before. It's the first time it's ever happened. People are going to say what they're going to say. It is what it is. And whatever people do say, it's deserved. I deserve it. On TMZ, which has been a safe haven for White, he told the outlet, I'm in Cabo, Mexico for the holidays with my family, and my wife and I were out with family on New Year's Eve, and unfortunately, that's what happened. White now joins Chuck Liddell, Luis Pena, John Jones, Mike Perry, War Machine, light heavyweight Thiago Silva, NFL player turned MMA fighter Greg Hardy, and many more on the list of domestic abusers in the sport. In 2015, HBO's Real Sports went over a huge problem, and I know there are many, but a huge problem in Dana White's organization. Public records research done by the show found that per 100,000 US men, there was a domestic violence arrest rate of 360. In that same sample, HBO Real Sports found 750 MMA fighters and 210 NFL players. There was no comparison listed between UFC fighters and NFL players, however. That was occurring and published in 2015. They say to always set an example, right? No matter the industry. Lead by example. Clearly, over the years, White has set his. Michael David Smith unearthed the following. The UFC has so many toxic fans that
Okay,
within
but we know where
minutes
this is
of
going. We know where this is going with this. And here's the thing. Do you think it's fair for them to bring that up? Folks are saying, I can't believe that there's an abuser that Meta has nominated. This is a difference that I've been telling you guys. This is a difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. LBC says, why are they normalizing domestic violence? They are getting, look, I'm going to tell you, I'm not saying that I agree with any of this. They're getting business done. They're getting elected to offices. They're getting put on boards. They're owning media companies and social media sites and getting to direct them into whatever way they want them to go. Domestic violence is awful. Toro says, weak boys, those aren't men. But those weak boys, and that you said aren't men, they are running the country now. They are running media now. Look at who has been nominated for Trump's cabinet. Look at what happened with Matt Gaetz. Look at what happened with Pete Hegseth. Look at what happened with Donald Trump. Just in the news now, a judge upholding the E. Jean Carroll verdict. And Donald Trump is slated to be president of the United States. Democrats are getting rid of Al Franken. Democrats are suppressing their allies. Democrats are canceling their allies because they weren't quite perfect enough. Capitalism and the patriarchy goes together, says Sabrina. Sabrina, are you hearing what I'm saying? They don't care about the patriarchy. They care about the first word of what you're saying, the capitalism. They have made what you just said, capitalism and the patriarchy goes together. They have made that what folks call woke. It's pejorative now. It's an expletive. Oh no, we can't be woke. So is the messaging right from liberals? Clearly they're fighting for the right things. But are they fighting to win? Because right now, it doesn't feel like liberals are winning. It doesn't feel like the folks who are trying to hold up democracy are winning. Are liberals stuck in word games? Are they too concerned about labels? Instead of winning? Because you can fight word games, you can fight words forever. But the only way to change that, what you said about weak men, is to enact laws, is to be in power, is to be in a position to affect change when it comes to what you think is important. If you think those issues regarding men are important, if you think domestic violence issues are important, then you need to be in a place where you can create laws to combat that. Ms. Lady, Democrats are going to be mad. I agree. Dems need to get more aggressive, Ms. Lady says. You guys are going to get mad. But what I'm saying is when you guys are talking about, and I'm not, look, I don't want to tick anybody off, but I can tell you the truth. When you're talking about the patriarchy and pronouns and names, not that those things aren't important. What's more important is winning and realizing what messaging sticks and what doesn't. Because Republicans say one thing in public and they do another thing in private. Or they give you some words and then they don't care. They don't care about any of the stuff that you're talking about. Yes, Don, liberals are too concerned about being prim and proper. They need to play nice. That's what they think. East Coast transplant. You're too concerned about it. You're too concerned about kicking people out of the tribe who you don't think act precisely the way that you want. Oh my gosh, the patriarchy. Okay, you get it. But how do you fight the patriarchy? By yelling and screaming on social media sites? By yelling at your allies? By shouting down your allies? Is that how you win? No. These men have mommy issues. They need to get therapy and leave us all alone, says Amandea or Amandi. Yes. But Amandi, are you listening to what I'm saying? How about Democrats need to start fighting to win and playing to win instead of playing word games? Instead of asking everybody to get therapy for their foibles. Because look at what's happening now. Let's just be honest. Democrats need to play dirty, says Sonia Nevis. Sonia, I don't know if these folks are picking up what I'm putting down. Please tell me if you're up. Let me just break it down and give you the reality for those who are talking about, hey, you know, I'm a member of the LGBTQ community. I get you want to be called whatever it is that you are. And look, they played that up. And I think that is what actually caused one of the major things caused Democrats to lose. Is that Republicans found a message that stuck, that resonated with the American people. One of it was the trans issue. And they stuck to it. Notice how no one has really mentioned it now? Do you ever notice now how few people talk about Gaza and Israel? You don't even hear the Republicans talk about it. And you don't really hear the Democrats talk about it. And you don't really hear it. You don't hear it in media. You don't hear it on social media that much. But you fought against and you talked about and you yelled at your own allies. You shouted down your own allies. You pushed out the voices like Jackie P says, we need more Jasmine Crockett's in AOC. You said they were too radical. They were too left. They're too progressive. You played into the Republicans' message. You let your enemies define you. Your enemies in the media, your enemies on social media, Republicans, MAGA folks, you let them define who you are. You were concerned about being called liberal, progressive, all those things, rather than promoting the voices that you could promote. So let me just give you a reality check here when you guys are talking about those things. I know those things are important. Do not get me wrong. I know it. Discussing racism is important, but what's more important is that you get what the John Lewis Civil Rights Act enacted. Progressive and independent media still talk about Gaza and trans rights, but did progressive, cat, and independent and liberal media get together during the election, or were they saying, I'm not voting for her? Because she doesn't say exactly what I want her to say about any of those issues, rather than she's the closest to what my agenda is, what I think is important. Because obviously on the other side, they don't give a crap about it. Sabrina 9 says pronouns did not cause Dem to lose. It's a lack of Dems to promote policies that voters saw as beneficial to their future. True. But were you cohesive? Were you together in it? Or was there infighting? Like the Republicans are infighting now and they can't govern. But they were able to come together enough to what? Put a cohesive message together to win, and now they're fighting, but they're winning. So let me just tell you this. I'm just going to, okay, here's a reality check. Republicans, MAGA, Donald Trump, and all of the tech bros that you say, they control the executive branch, the presidency, the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, the legislative branch, Congress, and the Senate. What you're watching us on, if you're on the YT on the tube, that's owned by Google, $1 million. If you're watching us on an Apple phone, on a Mac, that's Apple, Tim Cook, $1 million. If you're watching us on the FB, the book, or on the Gram, who's that? Meta, Mark Zuckerberg. I don't think some folks may play us on X. Who's that owned by? Do you feel me? I told you I'm always going to be honest with you. That is why during the election, I kept saying, know who your allies are, know what the truth is. This is what people around the country are saying. This is how they feel. But their policies weren't exactly 100% what I wanted. No one's policies are 100% what you wanted. Don, what do you think our next step should be, Kat? To learn a lesson from what's happening right now, to listen to what I'm saying to you and start to play to win, to realize what's really important. Yes, those issues that you want to fight for are important, but that does not mean that it has to be part of your main message. Just like your message for the holidays as it relates to your kids, if they are of a younger age, is to get them to do the elf on the shelf, to get Santa Claus to do whatever, when behind the scenes, you know what's up. Do you understand what I'm saying? You know what's up. It's sad because we can't boycott everything, says Jermaine Joseph. No, you can't. So you have to play to win. And now, guess what? You're going to have to work. You're going to have to work and live with all of this now, even though you didn't want to. You can't cut everybody and everything out, as the gentleman just said there. So now you're forced to work with them. Now, would you rather be forced to work with Biden or Harris? Or would you rather be forced to work with Trump and Hegseth and Gates or Marjorie Taylor Greene? Which would you rather be forced to work with? What would you rather be forced to live with? I need to send a message with my vote. So what I'm saying to you, so this is what I'm saying. When you hear people who say, we need to stop talking about racism, we need to stop talking about slavery, we need to stop talking about issues that affect women, we need to stop talking about all of these things, because if you talk about it, then it doesn't go away. You guys know. I've heard it a million times. What is the first thing that happens when you go into the doctor's office? What do they say? Let's see. Let me see here, Mr. Lemon. Let me look at your history. The last time you were here, this happened. Let's see how we can improve upon that. In order to move forward, you have to look at the history. So don't let anybody ever tell you that. You've got to look at the history of what happened to women in this country. You have to look at the history of what happened to people of color in this country. You also have to look at the history of what happened to the election, in the election, and realize how you need to fix it. So stop letting perfect be the enemy of the good. That's how you move forward. Stop. That's what we need to do. Stop letting perfect be the enemy of the good. Now, you may have your allies may be liberal, they may be libertarian, they may be some conservative leanings. I'm not saying that you have to get rid of your principles and your morals. But stop playing to lose and play to win. I don't mean to be that preachy. I'm just saying. Because you've got to be strategic and smart to play in these spaces. And now look where we are. It's politics. Tone policing and woke has been co-opted by Republicans to appeal to the masses. Keep your intentions for larger issues close to your chest. Play to win. Erica Sims, I love you. Thank you for your support of independent media. I love you. Erica Sims is listening. When everyone is interviewed for the Supreme Court, they said, you know what? Roe v. Wade is the law of the land. I have no intention on changing it. And then when they get in there and someone sends the vote up to go back to the states, what do? They vote to send it back to the states because they know that will get rid of Roe v. Wade in a number of places in the country and potentially altogether. Boy, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but then I'm just saying, and I don't want to be too negative. I'm just trying to tell you guys, you got to, and here's what you must do. Because the Trump administration, let's go to the Axios report. Andy, put the Axios report up. Let's go to the Axios report, okay? These are the changes that's going to happen, okay? Mark Zuckerberg moved further in the direction of MAGA on Monday when he appointed 3 white men, including UFC chief executive and Trump friend Dana White, to the board of directors of Meta. Okay, this is according to Axios. Why it matters? We're a long way from 2022, as I said, when Peter Thiel resigned from that same board in order to be able to support Trump-aligned candidates. These are the people that he put in place that I talked about. After Thiel's resignation, the Meta board was 44% female, 5 men, and 4 women. Today, it is now 23% female and 10 men and 3 women. So Zuckerberg has control because it's a Class B shares that can vote, and that matters. The company did not return Axios' request for comments on these changes. Here's between the lines that they say. 7 of those 10 men, Mark Andreessen, John Arnold, as I said, John Elkan, Drew Houston, Hock Tan, Tony Zhu, Zuckerberg himself are billionaires. White might not have reached the $1 billion mark quite yet, but he's well on his way. Driving the news, the reinvention of Facebook can be seen as a departure of liberal Democrat Nick Clegg as the company's policy head and his replacement by prominent Republican Joel Kaplan. That's where we are. It can be seen in the $1 million that Meta donated to Trump Inauguration Fund and donation made by many other tech companies. The bottom line, as Axios has reported, the fate of big tech over the next 4 years depend on who has Trump's ear at critical junctures. Zuckerberg seems to be doing everything he can to ensure that Meta is in exactly that position. So what does that mean? I'm not sure. I sent you guys the the search about what happens. Trump administration is going to platform and amplify streaming social, independent voices, especially those that carry their narrative. And they're going to do what? Suppress traditional legacy media that has more fact checking, as a matter of fact. So folks who are going to be getting their information now from where, as they have been, the TikTok and other places, that is what will be promoted and amplified. The social media sites. Who owns the social media sites? Quite frankly, who owns the legacy media sites? Those folks are all as well donating, meeting, amplifying more conservative voices as it relates to journalism on their platforms, and minimizing the what? More liberal voices. Trump expected to shake up White House briefing room. Do you see that? I'm just telling you, that's what I said. Are they killing journalism and democracy? Are they? I'm just asking you questions because I want you to think for yourself right now. And I'm sure this is a tough lesson for you. As it relates to TikTok, it could be banned and it could be bought by conservatives, possibly. Some folks even said that maybe the owner of Twitter would buy it. Some folks have said maybe Trump would try to buy it. Kevin O'Leary is trying to buy it. Here's what he said.
On topic, but I had another agenda item that was very important to me, and we announced that this morning. I have joined with Frank McCourt to buy TikTok, and this is a very complicated deal. It's a multi-billion-dollar deal. We're going to have to work with President Trump. This is a bipartisan situation. We have to work initially.
We're going to have to work with the Trump administration. And there's Kevin O'Leary meeting with Donald Trump. And he wants to buy TikTok. And Kevin O'Leary says we're going to have to work with him. Keep going.
We have to work initially with Biden, and we want to. And then on midday, 12:05, Trump will be who we have to work with to close the deal in the months ahead. So I wanted to let him know, as well as others in his cabinet, that we're doing this, and we're going to need their help.
Well, that's going to be a very interesting story.
Now, did you guys notice where he made that announcement? Wasn't on the MSNBC, wasn't on the CNN. Maybe he appeared on those programs, but where he said, I have another item on my agenda. So I assume that's where he announced it. He did it on the Fox News. Where did the Meta guy make his announcement? On Fox News. Now, Trump has realized the importance of TikTok, so I'm sure he would like to keep it in the family. This is what he said back in December about his fondness for TikTok.
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
Who?
How do you plan to stop the ban on TikTok next month?
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. Now, Joe Rogan did, and some of the other people that were recommended by my son Barron, he knew names. I said, who is that? Tell me, who's that? Dad, you gotta be kidding. I can't believe you don't know. And I did those interviews, and it was actually sort of cute. Do you want to know the truth? But we did them, and that had an impact. But TikTok had an impact, and so we're taking a look at it. But, you know, we won youth. Republicans are always 30 points down in youth. I don't know why. But we ended up finishing. There was one poll that showed us down about 30. We were 35 or 36 points up with young people. So I have a little bit of a warm spot in my heart, I'll be honest. Yes, President Trump.
So there you go. And he's not lying. Those are the facts, Jack. Those are the facts, Jack. So what do you do? If you don't like it, do you get off TikTok if a conservative buys it? Mark Zuckerberg is going conservative. Do you get off of that platform? Do you get rid of your iPhone? What do you do? You can't. Do you rather be forced to work with what? That's why elections have consequences. And that's what people look. As I was laughing, I was telling the MAGA people you after around, you find out. I think that, the folks who were sort of center and liberal, whatever, the apathy, you also effed around and you found out. You're finding out now that elections have consequences. So what do you do? I'm saying you can be informed without being inundated, all of those things. But you have to start playing to win. You got to fight to win. And this is why I tell you people to stop playing around. If you're sitting there with cable in front of cable all day, they don't care. They don't care about you. You're sitting there watching legacy media. They don't care. They're corporations. They're owned by corporations that want to make money. And so what are they going to do? They're going to go where the power is. They're going to go where the money is. And where is that right now? So if they're going to amplify streaming and independent media, then you need to make your independent media strong. You need to create an ecosystem or a place that you can be able to go to get your information. That's why when the folks are out here saying, hey, in social media, we appreciate your support. Make sure you like and subscribe. Yeah. Who's independent media owned by? The person, most of the time, the person who's running it, the face that you see, like me. Let me just give you this. These are facts. ABC, Disney, huge corporation. NBC, Comcast, huge corporation. CBS, Paramount, huge corporation. Fox, News Corp, huge corporation. News Corp. MSNBC, NBC, which is Comcast. They're changing that now. They're moving. Who else did I miss? CNN, Warner Brothers. The more liberal side of it, the Dave Pakmans of the world, the Brian Tyler Cohens, Dave Pakman owns it. Brian Tyler Cohen owns it. The Midas Touch, owned by the brothers, the Mysalis brothers. Don Lemon Show, Don Lemon. Roland Martin owns it. I'm just saying. But we're here. We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to fight the power. Now is not the time for people to acquiesce. And that's why I'm concerned about journalists, because journalists are concerned. And I think they have every right to be, especially when they're worried that they're going to say something wrong, that they're going to be gotten rid of. You guys, honestly, and I used to do it. I used to pay almost $400 a month for cable, a couple $100 a month. I don't do that shit no more. I either do a direct stream or I do a YouTube TV or I do something else, or I just do the YouTube. Thank you, Kev Z247. Consume independent media. Stop watching corporate media. Look, you watch what you want, but I'm just saying, I'm just going to give you the facts. When you're watching them, are they putting your comments up? Are they asking you what your thoughts are? Are they saying we want you to be part of our community? Are they saying your voices are important? Are they telling you the truth about the corporate part of the company? Are they trying to get rid of the false equivalency for you? Are they telling you not to shout down your allies? This is a very critical time. Yesterday, the 119th Congress was their first day. They were sworn in. You saw what happened with the vice president. You saw the infighting, the fighting of the lack of governance, of being able to govern by the Republican Party, but really the MAGA folks now. You saw that. The MAGA folks are in charge. Mike Johnson's MAGA. The people who were fighting against him, they were fighting against him because they wanted him to be more conservative to the right. Thank you, Nappy Child, for your support. Because of you, 10 folks get to be. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that for you to do that. I'm just saying you gotta, don't fall for the okie doke. And in the real sense of the term, stay woke. That's what I mean. Stay woke. And in a way, look, the conservatives and MAGA folks are right with liberal tears because now people are upset. But look, all is not lost as long as you're aware of that. And you do have control. If you want to get upset about some of these products and not use them, that's your business. Do it if you can. I know a lot of folks are saying, how do I get my hands on an Android now? Are my apps going to work on that? Because I thought Tim Cook would do something else. What the hell? How do I go over to Blue Sky now? Because I can't deal with Instagram and Facebook. I don't know. Look, you can do it. I just don't know how you get rid of all of them. I think that my friend Tim Miller is right. Facebook is older, but it's still very important. But think about it, it's not just Facebook, Tim. It's also the Gram. A lot of people get their information from there. But think about TikTok. Made money in the building says Team Android all day. And by the way, you guys, you got to stay, as they say, woke. When you think about, I see all these people doing these dances in the Walmart. I love the way you just shake your ass with that one and whatever, and they doing the thing. Do you know what Walmart did? And you were still in there. Starbucks. Axton Liam says Starbucks has lost $13 billion because of the black dollar. We have power. Axton, thank you. People of color, women, whatever, minorities, poor people, if you stick together, you can make a difference. I'm just saying to be aware. I'm not telling you that you need to. I'm just saying be aware of where you are when you're dancing in the Walmart. Corporate media is not going to tell you that. When you're wanting your skinny, floppy, double scoop, half calf, grande, they're not going to tell you that. So there you go. Make sure you follow us, like and subscribe. Some days you just have to be real and you got to tell the people to think. I want you guys to think. I want you to think. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.